Very good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for today, Saturday, the 3rd of May, 2025. Starting off with the synoptic, beginning yesterday at lunchtime. So we had that low centered just off to the east of where we are here at Lasham, giving quite reasonable soaring conditions in places, albeit very clagged in, very poor visibility. But we did a good number of launches, well over 100 launches across the club and grid yesterday. So all in all, very successful day. Looking at midnight last night, we had this weakening cold front approaching us from the north, with another cold front just around about Aberdeen. But by lunchtime today, that northern front has moved quite significantly, whereas the one to the south is stationary more or less on the south coast. Both quite weak at this stage, but there is a risk of being sandwiched in between the two of them. And looking outside the window, that's what we can attribute a lot of this quite thick cloud to. Overnight, that should have passed and moved clear, leaving us some nice air, some higher pressure as well coming in for tomorrow. And hopefully some reasonably unstable air. Looking at the sat pic for the moment, you can see the evidence of that upper level cloud very much dominating the local area, but quite a recent addition. It was clear this morning first thing, and we do expect that to clear within the next few hours. You can see north of us, there is reasonably clear as well, and certainly into the Midlands, there's no evidence of that cloud as well. Rain radar shows very much the same picture. The bulk of that cloud from the sat pic on the south coast corresponds with this band of rain over the Channel Islands and the Channel. To the north, just a small showery bits here and there, but nothing particularly significant showing that front coming in from the north. That offers rainfall radar, on the other hand, so that does recognize that band of rain that's there at the moment. If we run that through, you see it's tracking almost to the east, and anything from the north is splitting up and moving away. So that would hopefully align with that cloud moving away as well. And it would be clear all in the way into the evening, so this should be good flying right up until dusk. The Farnborough TAF, today we've got variable at 5 knots, 10 kilometres or greater than 10 kilometres visibility, and broken at 4,000 feet. Spot winds to the south of us, we've got 05010 at 2,000 and 1,000, but very light and generally quite variable. Whereas, beg your pardon, to the north, we've got 340 and 350 at 20. So that's more likely, aligns more with what we're expecting to see here today. A very predominantly northerly or northwesterly flow, both in the upper air and on the ground. Just confirming that with windy showing actually a slightly northeasterly component here, but by the time we're launching any grid or significant club ops, expecting that to be more or less straight northerly, and then coming around a little bit more northwesterly in time for early afternoon. We can just confirm that using the Met Office local forecast, beginning northeasterly, going all the way for the rest of the day as northerly, with a little bit of northwesterly coming in into the afternoon. Fairly moderate to begin with, 8-9 knots, gusting potentially up to 20, and then later into the afternoon, we've got a bit more mixing up to 12, gusting 25. Very good visibility, supposedly. It should be okay, but I expect it would be a little bit claggy in places. Yesterday was suggested to be very good, and it was quite appalling in the latter part of the day. Moderate humidity and quite high UV, up to 6 today, so we need to keep an eye on that, make sure we're covering up using sunscreen and keeping hydrated. In terms of the surface temperature, maximum of about 19, feeling a little bit cooler with that northerly breeze coming in, but it should still be a very pleasant day out in the airfield, and hopefully a little bit of cumulus later on in the afternoon as well. The GFS giving us a temperature of about between 16 and 18 degrees, which more or less agrees with the Met Office, and a dew point of 9. So we'll have a look at a couple of the cameras. From the south side, looking west, we can see there's still quite a bit of that upper cloud beginning to break up slightly. And looking to the north, you can see it's a little bit more positive looking that direction. And if we look looking north from Newbury South, you can see that it is actually very much clear up in that direction. So hopefully we get that clearing sooner rather than later, but certainly by sort of late morning to midday, we should be getting rid of any of that problematic cloud. Temperature then, at the moment we've run out to 13.4 locally at Lasham with a dew point of 9.8. And if we have a look at SkySight briefly for their point forecast here locally at Lasham, they're recognising that lower level stuff to begin with, beginning to break a little bit earlier by about 10:30, and we should then get a reasonable amount of heating. Thermals in the best part of the day up to 4.3 knots, soarable up to about 4,500 feet above here at Lasham, and remaining good until into the early evening, where conditions will of course start to deteriorate. The thermal top winds showing generally quite northerly, becoming more northwesterly, sort of in the middle part of the day, maximum of 13 knots in the usable portion, and that's 13 knots northwesterly. We'll look at the cloud distribution charts here on Top Meteor. You can see that does very much agree with what we're seeing at the moment. This was valid for 9 o'clock local. If we run that through hour by hour, you can see it beginning to break. And actually by 11 or 12 o'clock, it's mostly clear. A little bit of altocumulus still hanging around, but also evidence of the cumulus underneath that. And it's going to blue out, according to this, locally to us by 2 or 3 o'clock. And then cumulus, plenty of cumulus to the north, dissipating. And that'll be fully gone by about 7 o'clock. NOTAMs, nothing really to affect. We've got 19 being Boston Stacey, live firing as normal, and 20 we've just got Lasham, intense activity, NOTAM. Nothing to affect us other than that. We'll move on now to the airfield brief. And we'll start with the ODM cross-section. Semi-agreeable picture in terms of what we're seeing, starting with not quite as much upper and mid-level cloud as we've seen this morning, but they are recognising that there's going to be some stratocumulus kicking about. Soarable from about 11 o'clock, some and some cumulus later on into the afternoon. ODM the Met Office are predicting maximum thermal strength of 4 knots, which is more or less what SkySight was saying as well. And that's going all the way, that cumulus, into the evening about 7 o'clock. Surface visibility up to 40 kilometers, so slight improvement on yesterday, but still going to be reasonably muggy. And the winds very much northerly to northeasterly, no more than 10, 12 knots. Got our bookings today. We have one K21 for booked flying. There's a K21 on the casual list of club members and a K13 for trial lessons. At the moment, there's 2 on the casual list, and a couple of instructors have put their names down as well. We have the simulator available as normal, and we don't have any single seater availability today. We are launching 2.7 today, so just bearing in mind any self launches for the usual noise avoid areas, particularly on the climb out from 2.7, watching out for the large house just off to the edge there. They're big noise complainers, and so do give them a wide berth. To Excel, nothing to report today. And in summary, we're sandwiched presently between two fronts, resulting in some quite dense cloud, clearing by lunchtime and producing reasonable soaring conditions. We'll have northerly winds throughout today. Therefore, we'll be operating runway 27 with cables on the grass to the south, air 2ing on the north. We'll be gridding 27 north grass. There are some cones out there at the moment to mark the front of the grid, for anyone not familiar with the normal Lasham ops. And please make sure you're ready when the cable on target arrives. As always, please avoid landing on taxiing across the disused runways shown here in red, and the spare airfield setup showing our northerly wind gridding in the usual place and winching from the south side. That's all for me today. We'll see you out there shortly. Hopefully we get the weather for today and have some fun. Keep it safe. Thank you.